All right, Mitchell Pehlke. Oh my goodness, lacrosse star, host of Pelk Talk. Oh my God, YouTube extraordinaire, Mitchell. It is great to have you on this episode of Connect with KT. How you feeling?
Good, long time coming, man. I'm just excited. I'm excited to be on this side for once. Like I feel like, and same with you at the same time. It's like we don't really get to be on this side. We get asked the questions we're usually asking. So I'm excited. I'm
Yeah,
here. I'm here with a good friend, Katie. So I mean, like, what else could you ask for on this
yeah.
Labor Day?
Just have a seat, enjoy yourself.
Like that.
Yeah. So I mean, we like what I like to do with all my guests is we start at the beginning and the beginning of our friendship, where we met, how that happened. So obviously, crazy story. I'm at the height of my YouTube career. I'm vlogging. I'm having a great time. I'm out at this event, Committed Combine, where all these elite young lacrosse players are coming from all over the country to compete, and
That's
it
good
was like
too.
a content frenzy. We got like 5 cameras set up. We got photogs, everything you could imagine. So I remember I was kind of just chilling, wrapping up my stuff at the end, throwing the old tripod in the backpack, and then all of a sudden these 2 kids come up to me, and it ends up being, of course, Mitchell here and his buddy
Uh,
down pool. And they were like, "Hey, like, can we get a picture?" Like, huge fans. And I was like, "Of course!" Like, "Oh, of course, come on." So we take a picture. One picture will just live in the history books. Picture of us
absolutely. It was
on
like
that high
me with
school track.
blonde mohawk and like a mustache. So brutal. I had a terrible sock in. I was wearing
No
the flip
shoes
flop.
too, just
Yeah.
like
Oh
so,
God, it's
yeah,
gross.
it was unbelievable. So we take that picture and then you come back up with a business card, and I was like, wow, this kid is hungry. Like, this kid really.
I got one right here. Hold on.
Yep, yeah, please.
So
Just
I came up to her. I was like, "Hey, like Katie, like check out my YouTube channel." I gave her this card. Like, what were your thoughts like when I gave you this?
I remember I was just like, this kid must be funny. Like, he must be hilarious. Like, I've never seen a business card with 2 selfies on the front of it in my entire life. And so then I was in the car on the way home, and I like, before I even left the parking lot, I checked your Instagram and just saw like just all the craziness, and I was like, this kid is funny. And
How
so
many followers I have on Instagram at the time? I know I had around. I mean, I think I had around like 2,000 subscribers. I think for
yeah,
Instagram it was probably like
yeah,
three,
yeah,
maybe
it wasn't
4,000.
much. And that was honestly my first question. I was like, this kid seems to be making some fire content. Like, why? Like,
Uh,
like I was like, what's
or that's I mean, sorry to go off track here, but I think that's the worst comment you can get. Like I get this a lot too. It's like this guy's content's so good, and he only has like 12,000 subscribers. Like, what's going on here? I'm just like,
yeah.
oh my gosh, like come on.
Well, it's a long journey, and like
I
that's a
know
thing
it
to
is.
remember. But
It really is.
I remember I was just like, wow, like this kid seems really funny. Like, we got to do a collab. So I DM'd you. I'm like, yo, just come up to Maryland whenever, like, because you were living in Virginia. And so
Yeah.
you shoot up to Maryland, and we do this video where basically it was just like a day in my summer. Like, I didn't have much going on, so we just like, you came up, like we drove to this like bridge that you can jump off of in Anne Arundel County with Mikey Harmeyer of all people. Just went
Legend.
there, like hung out, like made a funny
It's
video.
so natural.
Yeah,
And
so
like
natural.
Katie said, like on my podcast, like the feeling was just so natural. Like you could tell, like from the time I met her at her front door, and she gave me a tour around the crib, and then we went to go do cliff jumping. Like you could tell, like just the vibe. It was just like it wasn't just fake. Like hey, like let's both make a video, post on each other's channels, and get each other some more followers. It was more just like let's actually have good times. And then as soon as like after that day, I was like, this friendship will last forever.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's what I felt too. I was like, this kid's a legend. Like, when are we hanging out next? So then I go back to USC for my sophomore year, and you were still in high school, and then all of a sudden at Christmas time, I get an invite to the Christmas party in Lansdowne.
Club, what do we call it? Club B.
Lansdowne, right? Is that where you're from?
Yeah, Lansdowne. We called it Club B, Club
Club
Boswell.
B, Club Boswell, and I get a text. So I drive down there, and I was surprising Mitchell, and we were both doing daily vlogs at that time, which was nuts and insanity. And I remember I I don't know how we did that.
I
So
know.
I get in the car with Bella Blumenberg, a little homie. We go down there. It's like pouring rain. Car lights aren't working. Like, just a disaster, and no radio. Like, we're just like, and so it's like an hour and a half in the pouring rain. We get there, and then like I park. All of a sudden, like, Lily's little brother, Evan, legend, he's like out in the driveway, and he's like, yo, like, come over here. So he takes us through like the basement, and we just come up, and like I just kicked
I'll
the door
never
down. I'm
forget
like,
the moment.
hey, like, and then next thing you know, I'm sitting at I'm the right hand man of Mitchell Pehlke for dinner for the annual toast, and we got all this great food. I'm sitting, and I remember I don't know what my plan was, but I was just gonna like stop in and like then just like dip out and go home. And you were
Yeah.
like, no, stay for dinner, and then it just became like, oh
It's
no, stay
night.
for the
You,
party. Like,
you ended up coming at like what, like 6, and you left like 3 in the morning.
yeah,
My God. And I remember the whole time I was like, okay, like it's like 3 a.m. Like you can sleep here. Nah,
yeah, yeah.
like Bella, just drive. Let's go home.
Yeah, and Bella's like, no. And I was like, Bella, come on. So Bella just hops in the car and takes me home at 3 in the morning. And we're driving up from Virginia to Maryland at 3 a.m. And I remember I got in at like 4:15 and I was like, what even just happened? Like, what a night
I think the
that
funniest part about it all was like when Lily threw the party, like she told like all of us like you're having a Christmas party, so we didn't think anything of it. And then as I was getting ready, like I just showered, put like my dusty like Grinch Christmas sweater. I'll never forget that thing. It had like legs attached to the bottom of it. And as I'm making the famous Mitchell Pehlke Rice Krispie treats, my girl Emery called. She's like, hurry up, like you gotta hurry up, like you just got to be here, hurry up. And I was like, what? Like that's so weird. So I remember getting there, and then the vibe was weird. Like you could tell like something was going to happen. Like, and I had no idea it was Katie or anything like that. And we're all like, everyone's like, all right, get her on the Christmas tree. We'll take a picture. We'll take a picture. And Lily's house is set up so like when you come out to the basement, like you're right in the common room where the tree is. So as soon as we take the picture, Katie comes out. She's like, surprise! She's got like this gray crew neck. It says like Christmas on it. She's wearing this like janky like Rudolph hat. It was just perfect. And then like to there, I was like, hey, stay for dinner, then stay for the night. And it was just one of those moments that like you'll never forget in like one of my favorite vlogs ever.
yeah,
It was so
it
fun.
was perfect. And then I think the cool thing about us both vlogging that entire day was my perspective of my vlog being like me heading down there to surprise you. And then
Yeah.
your vlog, like I remember there was literally a point where you were like, something's up. Like there
Yeah.
like and I was like, that's wild. Like he literally knew. Like
Yeah. It was like it was just like me going to school. Like it was the last day before winter break. And then making my dessert. And then I get there and I'm like, all right, something's going on. Something's gonna happen. I just don't know what it is. And then you popped out and it was sick. It was so fun.
yeah, it was dope. And then so I remember then that night we had talked a lot about YouTube and lacrosse and like college lacrosse specifically because you were a senior, you're about to go do it. And I was obviously I was a sophomore, so I had a couple like years of that experience under my belt. And I remember just chatting with you about like this the NCAA, like this is what you got to watch out for. Like their
Yeah.
like, coach might not be too into it. Like I was just like feeding you all this advice. And I remember you looked at me, and you were like freaked out. Like you were like, damn, like that's crazy. And I was like, yeah, but like don't worry, it'll all be fine. And so I remember I was like watching kind of from afar when you pulled up at Ohio State your freshman year and you started doing it. Like you really started diving into the content. And I was really excited for you because I was like, wow, like he's just, like not afraid of it, gonna go do it. So was there a moment when you got to Ohio State where you kind of realized like whether it be like your roommates were into it or like whatever, like a good vlog that you were like, oh, like this is gonna be some great content. Like I'm excited for this.
Yeah, I was just knew, and at the end of the day, like lax guys are lax guys. Like every lax guy is the same when it
Yeah.
comes down to it. So I kind of knew from then like they'd be interested, and a lot of like our class, our 2019 class, has been connected for almost like 3 years before we even got to college. You know, Coach Myers and Ohio State, like they do a really good job of like keeping us connected before we even get to school. So when we get here, it's like not even a big deal. Like in the winters when we were in high school to come up here for Buckeyes Future Night, we'd do a little prospect day. They would have dinner in the shoe, and in the summer we play tournaments together where our coaches coach us. So they do a super good job of kind of keeping us connected. So yeah, I kind of knew like coming in, like it would be fine. The thing I was really nervous about was just doing it in front of like the whole team. Like with my class, I was good because I've known him for 3 years, but like, like I only know Trey LeClaire, Ryan Tarafanko, like all these big name guys from like TV and them playing their sport, and
Yeah.
us looking up to them. Like, I don't really know like how they act. I just know how they play. So
Yeah.
I was nervous for that. And I remember going on that Portugal trip,
Yep.
50, 60 guys, and I knew about 10 of them. And then just like trying to record a video in a different country, like,
Yeah.
oh my God, I was so nervous. Like I think max I got like 5 hours of sleep each night. Just like so nervous of like, okay, like let me film this tomorrow, let me film this, and we
Yeah,
can
yeah,
have free time. Like, okay, if I go surfing, like, will coach let me wear a GoPro? Like, I don't know,
yeah,
like should I ask him? Blah blah blah. So it was just like the uncertainty part was hard, and I think that's a lot on me too. Is like I probably should have like sat down with coach and been like, hey, what can I film and what can I film? So when I got back to campus, I did that, and he was really open to the filming part. He's like, look, like I've seen a lot of your videos. You've been doing this for a while now, and I'm big on it too. I like it too. I want you to build your brand here, but now since you're on campus, you play for us. Like you represent more than just Mitchell Pehlke. You represent a team, an organization, a university. So he
yeah,
gave some rules, but at the end of the day, like I'm just glad he still gave me the okay, because at any point in time, he could just be like, no, like don't do it. Like you're here
yeah,
for other folks. Like that's it.
yeah.
So I'm really thankful. Like he kind of gave me the okay, and now it's a really like team bonding type thing. Like a lot of guys are really into it, and I think it really brings the team together.
Yeah, that's tremendous and like not common to like have that level of support. Like that's awesome. And like for him to be like, yo, like this, you have to understand this, but at the end of the day, you're gonna be allowed to do it, and like I want you to do it is really, really cool.
Yeah,
And I think the one thing that separates us is like for me, it started to become like what I did. Like it was like my like I was like there to vlog basically.
yeah,
And eventually why I like came away from the game and like whatever. But like you, like you're like nice at lacrosse and like you have always loved lacrosse and like you were sick at it. You went to committed to combine, whatever. Like so when you were coming up, what was that decision process like when you chose Ohio State? Because you probably had a lot of offers on the table. You probably had an opportunity to stick to Virginia, stay in that state,
yeah.
and that's like so much of what you know. So like, what was it like choosing Ohio State?
It was I'm gonna be honest. I'm glad it's over because, like, for any people that had to go through early recruiting, it's stressful. It's
Yeah,
really. I just remember like graduating middle school, then every weekend in June and July, you're going to Baltimore, Philly, Long Island to these tournaments, and it's like, going into that ninth grade year at the time before they changed the rules, it's so stressful because like there's like every coach, there's 15 D1 coaches on the sideline watching you
coach,
play.
coach, and they all have clipboards.
Yeah, okay. Shout out Kid Bear. And then, yeah, it was just stressful. Like, no 15, 14-year-old should ever have to deal with like playing so good that like their next 4 years of college like really depend on those summers. So it was stressful. And I remember like getting these offers, and I really kind of narrowed it down to Hopkins, UVA, and Ohio State. And I remember visiting Hopkins first. Me and my buddy Danny actually visited like 2 days apart, so it was good kind of having that, talking to him about it.
Yeah,
And after visiting, like Petro, like he's the man, like straight up, like he's just a good guy, great coach, like just the man. And I like the lacrosse aspect of everything he was doing, and I just don't think I really like the part of it being a small school, like big on academics. Didn't have a really big school spirit. No
yeah,
football team, no basketball team. So I kind of ruled that one out early. And then I visited UVA, and that was a much more different feeling because, like you said, Katie, like my dad played at UVA, and I grew up going to Klockner, going to the football games, and felt like home because I've just been going there for
yeah,
lacrosse football games my whole life, and my dad played there, which made it even more hard to make that decision. But touring it with Dom and kind of knowing he was on his way out, not really knowing at the time who the next coach would be, and just at the same time like wanting to start my own destiny, like wanting to be Mitchell Pehlke, not Kevin Pelke's son
yeah,
or Pehlke or Kevin's son. And that was hard too because like looking now, like my brother goes there, like one of my best friends, Taylor Musa, goes there now. So would it be sick to go there? Yeah, but like I made the best decision of my life coming to this damn school. I mean,
yeah,
I seriously when I say this, like I have a journal. I started that this year. Like I literally write down like every day in my journal, I'm so thankful I'm at Ohio State and
yeah,
making this decision. I mean, I just remember like first day getting to Columbus and driving to campus and meeting Coach K. Now Coach K is actually the defense coordinator at Hopkins, but he was here at the time and he took me on a tour. So did Coach Ross and Coach Myers, and just the school spirit and like all the academic support they get, the locker room to the training facility. I think is really one that doesn't really get talked about a lot. Like Angie, our trainer, is the best trainer in the country, hands down. Like you
yeah,
can't match it. and just like all the stuff they offer here is just like unmatched. And I don't know, I'm just super glad I'm here with a group of guys that really cherish like Buckeye lacrosse and the brotherhood. Like I have the Ohio State Buckeye Creed right here, and I think about it all the time, and just really thankful that kind of Coach Myers has put together a group of guys that really embody like the brotherhood.
Yeah.
It means so much because guys aren't here just to play good lacrosse, win championships, and get out. Like guys are here to like create relationships with each other, and like
Yeah.
I can tell you right now, like when I get married in 10 years, like there'll be a good 15 guys from
Yeah.
this team. I'll be on my way.
Yeah.
So it's sick.
That's amazing. And I think honestly, like that's kind of sounds a lot like my USC experience early on, and like what I could have like gone to school on the East Coast or like gone to like a JMU where both my brothers went and it was super easy and like my whole family was there all the time and like but we both took the road less traveled. Like we both pushed the boundary on like making a name for ourselves, you know? And I my USC experience was extremely like that. In terms of like you said, the brotherhood. Like all my teammates like are still like my best friends, even though I left. Like and it is like you cherish each other and you cherish like outside of the field, like what it means to like wear that jersey and like what it means to be a part of that like family. And I think that's a really special thing.
And I'm like so glad too that like I'm doing something different. Like no one in my family, like no one from my high school has even gone to Ohio State. I'm just kind of glad I'm doing something different. Going to Ohio, like meeting so many cool different people from this kind of area. And I'm glad I'm doing that. And like and for my next chapter, like when I graduate from here, like I want to go to like New York City or LA because I've never been there before and it's not traditional in my family, but I think like you learn so much when you do different things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I couldn't agree more. Like it's the same with me. Like I never wanted to be content. Like I there were a lot of points in my freshman year where I would be like super homesick and I would always think like, oh, like I could have just gone to like a school in Maryland and I could just go home on the weekends or but then you push yourself to overcome those things. And like the fact that I couldn't go home on the weekends my freshman year like made me stronger and made me like appreciate USC more and LA more. And now I have like a life out here, you know, and like I would have never gotten that if I hadn't like pushed the boundary coming out of high school, you know?
Yeah. And that's one thing I struggled with my freshman year. I like it did this place like didn't really feel like home.
Yeah.
Till we went to Maryland to scrimmage North Carolina in the Michael R. Bresci scholarship fund we do every year in the fall. Like after that, as soon as I got home, like I remember looking at like our building and I was like, all right, this is home. Like, let's go. I'm glad to be back.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so
Good feeling.
special moment when you are at college and you look around and you're like, all right, like I'm happy to be, you know what I mean? Like after a trip.
I mean,
Like,
it does take a couple months because like obviously you just kind of get thrown in here and you're playing lacrosse, you're at a big school and it doesn't really feel like home, but after a couple months you start to settle in and it feels good.
yeah. So you obviously you said like you had the fall ball game and then you know you come back for the spring. And what was the biggest adjustment in terms of high school lacrosse in Northern Virginia to Division I collegiate Big Ten like lacrosse, like in just terms of the game? Like was
I'd
it
say
like
I would say like right off the bat, just the speed of the game is so much more faster in college. And that was the biggest thing. I think like workout wise, like squatting, benching, I was putting up numbers these guys were putting up, but like stick skill wise, speed of the game, shot, pass, like different little things that like in public school ball, like if you're athletic, okay, stick skills, okay, shot, like you're just going to be fine because it's public school ball.
yeah,
And that's something I kind of really struggled with. Like when I got here freshman year, I kind of looked back and I was like, dang, like, should I've really gone to like a private school? Like my dad went to Calvert Hall and that's like a dynasty. Like there's a lot of guys on this team that went there. Like, should I have gone there? But at the same time, like me and Jordan McCabe talked about this on our podcast. Like you have these friends when you go to this public school that you grew up with your whole life. And then you go to high school with them. Like my group of 7, like I will never like regret any of the times I had with them, and I'll keep those memories forever because those are my dogs and those are my dogs for life. We're some junkyard dogs.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd say the speed of the game at the end of it is really fast. And kind of thinking about like this past summer and during quarantine, like one thing I really focused on was getting my stick skills right, like shooting and passing and all the kind of the fundamentals because I really don't think I was prepared that much for it in college.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I feel like most people say the same answer, like speed of the game, you know. But
Yeah.
I definitely that public versus private question of like, should I have gone a different route? But it always brings you back to like the boys. Like, and
Yeah.
me being like a public school graduate, like it really is like a really unique experience, honestly. Like, and it's,
Yeah, and I'm glad. Like I kind of put on, like we always say, we put on for our city. Like
yeah,
you put on for your town. Like
yeah,
all Riverside, like those Lansdowne kids are preppy. Like they don't know what they're talking about. But
yeah,
you shake some heads on lacrosse field, and I love that. Like think about this, and this is another thing too for me that I was so thankful for. Like when I transferred from Stonebridge to Riverside, two public schools in the area, when I went to Riverside sophomore, junior, and senior year on our attack line, it was literally me and my two other best friends. Like,
yeah,
not a lot of people can say that. Like me, Danny Pulse, and Taylor Musa on an attack line. Like I'm gonna be honest, like maybe 1% of the world can say that, and I'm so thankful. And I never really kind of went in on a private school because just like there's memories for days on lacrosse field with those two cats that I'm just so thankful for.
yeah. And I agree with like the putting on for your city. Like it's dope to I always think like every day I'm representing like my high school and like all the people back home, that like I want to make them proud. Like they like with lacrosse, yeah, but like and then like when they saw me like filming Joe Burrow or like doing the PLL stuff, like it is good to keep in the back of my head that like I am like representing, this area and like
Yeah,
we both kind of hold that value.
I think that's the sickest part. I mean, I don't know. It kind of makes me miss my town right now, but I don't know. I'm here. I'm living the dream.
Yeah, yeah. So okay, so you're back. You're a sophomore now. Big guy on campus. You got the scooter going. You got the helmet. You got you know everyone. You're BMOC, big man on campus, as they say.
I like that.
So what? So you're in the dorms again, right?
Yeah. So they made a rule about like 4 years ago that they put in place that first and second years have to stay on campus. So first year I was in a traditional dorm, and then this year we're kind of in a suite. So 6 guys, like 3 rooms, 2 in each room, 1 common room. So it's good. I like this a lot. Like everyone would think like second year on dorm is bad. Like I think this is like sick. Like everyone's always in the common room, like busting balls and everything, and it's fun. I really like it.
Yeah. So what's your favorite part of living in a dorm with 5 other dudes on your team, and what's your least favorite part of living in a dorm with 5 other dudes on your team?
I'd say favorite part, like I said, just like around 7 or 8, everyone's just in the common room. We're all busting balls. Like
Yeah.
that type of stuff is like my favorite. Just we're all like generally having a good time. Like everyone's kind of making fun of each other. Like
Yeah.
my buddy Sam Faber, he's always in here. He's a health nut, so he's always cooking broccoli. Or then we got my other guy Zoot from the Bronx that just stays and lives on the couch watching the Entourage. So it's like fun. You get like all these different personalities that come together on one couch and just kind of bust each other up. But my worst part is like just like we're not that messy, but like I'm such like a OCD cat that like I need everything to the T, and like they'll do dumb things like have crumbs everywhere, or like spill water, not clean it up, or like even my roommate, like I get up, like I'm so strict on my sleeping schedule from like go to bed at 10,
You're
wake up
not
at 10.
about it. Yeah.
I'm so crazy about it. And my roommate Gabe Galbraith, he's from Texas, and he's like your typical Texas guy, like oh like let's enjoy life, like so calm, so like southern and everything. And he sees me like get up, go make my coffee, and like my coffee is like right near the bed and my alarm, and he hates it. But
Yeah.
like I don't know, like that's gonna be something like in 10 years that we look back on and we're just gonna be laughing for days.
Yeah, for sure.
It's all in good fun though. I'm just pumped on room with him, room with these guys.
Yeah, that's good. Well, I remember when I went to your house for the Christmas party this year.
Yeah.
And I remember I stayed the night and I woke up like a mess. And I just long night for Katie DeFeo. And I wake up to like you at the foot of my bed and you have like a coffee in your hand and like your hair's like all done and like you
Yeah.
didn't have a shirt on, like your classic morning, like you're like, oh good morning, how you doing? I'm like, man.
Energy, and you're just waking up. That's the thing he hates too. Is like, dude, do you ever like I know you're got a lot of energy, but do you ever like stop? I'm like, no, dude, I don't know. Like as soon as I get up, I'm like, go.
Yeah, you're going. Yeah. Yeah, I'm the same way.
Funny though.
Oh my gosh. So who were some of your role models in the lacrosse video world? Like when you were coming up and you were vlogging, because you started vlogging super, super early.
Yeah.
Like I didn't start vlogging until college. Like you had to cook in like freshman year of high school. So
Yeah.
who were you looking at that time? It doesn't even have to be lacrosse, but just when you were a freshman in high school and you were showing your life to the world, Like, what were you basing that off of? Kind of, who were you drawing inspiration from?
I think it was more like I gotta give a big shout out to my mom. As a kid, like I never like ever like grew up and still do now. Like not I don't watch any TV. I don't watch movies. I used to just sit on YouTube for like hours a day and hours. And like my mom would get pissed off and her Italian voice would be like, what are you doing? Like wasting all this time? Like you're wasting your time away watching these dumb people's lives. Like your life is so interesting. I remember just you'd always say it to me and just be like, oh, like I should probably start a YouTube channel.
Yeah,
And at the time, like I mean, everyone says like Casey Neistat. That's like a huge role model for
yeah,
me.
yeah,
Like at the time, like Jesse Wellens and BF vs. GF, or I was big into like the vlogs or like the Shea Tards or like Roman Atwood, just like kind of the natural stuff of just like nothing really scripted. Um, so I think people like that and just kind of like seeing like how natural it is and just like, oh, I like this transition. Oh, I like how they said there or left me on a cliffhanger or I like how they put their thumbnail there. Like really helped me out. And then I think for like the first 2 years of doing YouTube, like I really didn't watch that much YouTube until like I got to my junior, senior year. Like I was like, okay, like if I want to be good at this, I got to be able to consume content good. And
yeah,
Jesse James West always talks about it, like you got to be a consumer of content, and I think that's true. Like if you want to be good in this game, you kind of always see what everyone else is doing to kind of stay hip and stay with the times and consume content to kind of put in your content as well. So I don't know. I think, but at the end of the day, like Casey Neistat was kind of the one and only when he was starting up Beam, when he was doing like the everyday vlogs,
yeah,
like he's a legend. He just
yeah,
like, oh my God, I was watching a video earlier today about him. He's a man.
yeah, absolutely. So I get this question a lot, and I always like the answer always troubles me because it's like it's just like a tough question to answer, and so I'm excited to get you going on this one. But when you, how do you balance lacrosse, school? I'm sure you've gotten this question 100.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You already know where this is going. How do you balance Division One lacrosse, school, your social life, keeping up with people at home, your mental health, and a full-time YouTube channel and podcast? How do you? What's your secret to success?
I think it's one word, and that's routine. Like you have to have a routine in this thing. Like my roommate Gabe, he's more the guy just like, all right, I got to do this one assignment. I'm gonna play some golf. Like for me, I'm like, all right, look at my Google Calendar. I got 30 things going, and I gotta hit them. Like so for me, it's like huge on routine. Like, and especially I have to get my videos, get the okay from my coach compliance. So that even takes more of it into account that I have to get my videos out a week or 2 weeks before they even go public,
Yep.
so I can get them out on the certain days. So yeah, routine is everything for me. I used to have the notebook with the times and everything, but I kind of transferred to more of a Google Calendar setting. But I mean, it's really hard. Like I'm not gonna sit here and be like it's easy. It's like really
Extremely,
stressful and
extremely
hard.
difficult.
And
Yeah,
I think like when people like ask me this question or want to start a YouTube channel and then they're like, oh my God, this takes so much time. Like I go to bed at 10 and I wake up at 6 because I really think like to be healthy and to be in great shape and to not get sore or hurt, like you really need 8 hours of sleep. So I'm really big on that. Like if I go to bed at 11, I'll wake up at 7 and same thing, vice versa. So once I go to bed at 10 and wake up at 6, I'm just get up, maybe read a little book, journal, and then I'm straight on the laptop editing, filming, chopping something up.
yeah,
And then either we go to practice or for now we have a Zoom calls. Then after that, I'm hitting the wall, coming back, having lunch, then back onto the laptop, editing or filming if I don't have any homework or anything, and then going to do my workout, coming back, having dinner on the laptop, edit. And the boys, my roommates make fun of me. They're like, hey, Mitch, like, we're your roommates. You can hang out with us. And like at the same time, I'm like, oh, like I probably should. But like, if I want to keep up this, if I want to have good grades, want to be great at lacrosse, want to have a successful YouTube channel and podcast, like
yeah,
you just have to have self-discipline. And it's
yeah,
huge. It really is. And as a college student, like it's hard to. I mean, I'm not a regular student, but like there's a lot of distractions here.
yeah,
And I think like if you have really self-discipline, like that helps a lot too.
yeah, for sure. So yeah, now you're a sophomore, and like I had said, like you had a good freshman year, like, but then it got cut short. So when you looking back in March, you're a freshman. I remember watching your video about this, but when the world stopped and Corona happened, and you got that phone call or you got that text, whatever it was, meeting with your coaches, but when basically you guys found out that it was all over, how did you cope with that? Like, what was the next week like for you?
Well, it kind of happened at like a bad time. I don't know if I said this in the video or not, but so that Tuesday we had a big win, beat Notre Dame. I think it was like 11-9, a huge win. We get back in the locker room, everyone's dancing. I think our coach busted out like the robot. It was so sick. The next day we have off, and like it was spring break, so I wasn't on campus because campus is closed, so they had to put us in hotels. So I had my car, so we were going to get food, and I think I ate it at this place called like Chumley's or something, and I had something bad, so I was like throwing up all night. I texted my trainer. I was like, "Hey, I'm throwing up." She's like, "Okay, text me in the morning." I was still feeling bad, so I couldn't even go to practice on that Thursday.
Yeah.
And on that Thursday, I was the only one not there. We had like a talent show where everyone does, like all the freshmen do each year. It's like they come in and do a talent. It's really funny. And for me, like me and my buddy Gabe and Garrett, we made like a video for the team, and they loved it. But then like went out to practice and came back and went for a lift. And then when they get back in there, like coach had them all sit in the film room, was like, "Hey, like I know like right now, like it was only like Ivy League that was canceled."
Yep.
And it was like, "I really don't know what the future looks like. You guys know as much as we do, but from this point on, we're going to keep attacking this thing until they kind of shut us down." And I remember like everyone like being like, "Oh my God, like this could actually happen."
Yeah.
And remember, as soon as practice ended around 11, I took a nap. And then around 3 o'clock, I woke up, and I remember just seeing an email from like coach, like just saying like the season's canceled. And I was like, "Oh my God." Like it was just like, it's one of those things like you just take for granted. Like, oh my God, like I get to practice with these guys. I get to go to this facility, like blah, blah, blah. I get to have such a good time every day. And then it just like stops out of nowhere. That's really when I started to learn, like every couple months I need to take a step back and just like be thankful for what I have, because you really don't know like when it could be taken from you. And at the time, like before the eligibility stuff happened, like I really felt bad for the seniors, because like you didn't know like if they could come back or not. And
Yep.
it was a sad couple weeks, but so that Thursday we get shut down, and then hang out with the guys Friday, Saturday, and book it home Sunday morning, and get to see my guys. And I just remember being weird, like not playing lacrosse in the month of like March and April. Like
Yeah.
that was the weirdest, because that's never happened to me since like I started when I was like 4.
Yeah.
So just that kind of itch of not playing was the hardest, and just not being around the guys, because it was just so like all of a sudden like, oh my God, like on that Monday, but the day before we played Notre Dame, there was no thought in our mind we would cancel it. And then that Sunday I'm home, like eating Italian dinner with my family.
Crazy. Like it's
Yeah. It's, I mean, it gives me chills to look back on, and I'm like, like even thinking about like if we have a season this year, like it's scary. Like I just don't even want to think about it.
Yeah. And I talked about that with Kerrigan Miller on this podcast, where we basically were like, it's those moments, like you said, that you take for granted. Like, and I had obviously quit, so I wasn't as like deep into it, but like, every week I was hanging out with my teammates still. And I like Kerrigan Miller, prime example. Like, I didn't think I'd have to say goodbye to her until May, June. And, all of a sudden it's March, and we're all just hopping on flights the next day. Like, it's crazy. And we're all just hanging out, like saying goodbye, like giving hugs, like don't know when the next time. I haven't seen her since. Like, it's crazy. You just like, you then look back and you're like, God, I wish I really like soaked more into it. I completely agree.
Yeah. And just like the little things too, like there's 3 kids that came back, but there was a good like 6 or 7 that didn't. And like now looking back, you're like, God, I wish I could just get like one more night, or we could grab lunch with a guy. Like, but now they're in their working world and they're kind of doing their thing. But I don't know. It's just like it really made me realize like sometimes you need to take a step back and just kind of take it all in.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm completely with you.
Yeah.
Oh goodness. So yeah, so taking it all in. So you spent the quarantine back home in Virginia. You're very family oriented. It's hilarious. Like I love the family vlogs, and they always crack me up. And your friends. You have a very interesting friend group. It's like a bunch of athletes, non-athletes, just like it kind of reminds me of my little brother's friend group. Like Colin's got that same type of vibe going on. So what do you think the biggest like influence on your life that your high school friends brought you? Like, what do you think like the one biggest takeaway, whether it's like a lesson learned or like something that you think about every day, or like it could even be like a memory, but what is one thing about that special group that like sticks with you today?
I think it could kind of be split up into two. So like on this side, I have a group of 7 counting me. So on this side, you got like Danny, Taylor, Buck, Dom that playing at Maryland lacrosse, Navy lacrosse, like Duquesne basketball, Colgate lacrosse. Like those guys, like we grinded like every day shooting and those guys like sometimes like when I didn't want to go work out to be like, yo, let's go. We're gonna go work out. So that's something I'll always cherish those guys for. But then my buddy Tender and Keebler, like those guys know how to have a good time.
Yes.
And when I'm stressed out or doing YouTube or homework or podcasts, like I can always go to them and kind of realize, okay, like it's fine, like everything's good. Like I just kind of wish sometimes I didn't take everything so seriously because like Tender and Keebler, like they're such chill guys. They're like, dude, like stop overthinking it. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there's like a lot of different personalities in the group, but that makes it like so good that we all kind of came to one. And it's like, honestly, feel like every kid has kind of brought something different to the table.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember always telling you, always, like every time I saw you when you were in high school, like, don't wish this away. Like, just, it's such a special time in your life. Like, because I met you when I was in college. So we have this really crazy dynamic with our friendship of like,
Yeah.
you were still in high school from the day we met, and I was in college. So, like, there was no overlap of like, so I always feel like I had the wisdom. Like, I was like trying to help you out. And I remember always, like, I would call you, like, and be like, yo, what are you up to? Like, what are you dropping soon? Like, because we always check in on each other. And you were like, oh, like the boys are buzzing, like hanging out with my buddies. Like, and I was like, dude, like that sounds lit. Like, just like that sounds awesome. Like, have fun. Like, I think that's one thing you do a good job of is not only do you document those moments, but you also like understand the value of the moments. Like I feel like you always have your what do they say? You are where your feet are. Like you always are able to just like take it all in. I really do think that.
And like my mom would always say, like, you are who you hang out with. And I think that's so true. Like we weren't a wild group. Yeah, we'd have fun on the weekends, but like we weren't doing anything crazy. And if someone kind of got out of line or did something exotic, we'd kind of be like, yo, like we don't do that here. And like whenever there were like parties or something, like we'd be like, yeah, you can't invite so and so. Because I think we were just such a tight group of people that really cared about each other. I think that makes it the best. And it's funny that you say that too, because I remember, so we win our state championship senior year. We book it home. It's a Saturday night, like 2 days out of my graduation party. It's a Saturday, and my buddy Taylor throws a party, and it's right near Riverside. And I remember like leaving his house like 2 a.m., like walking to Riverside, and me just like crying, like, oh my God, it's over. Like the peak is over.
Yeah.
It's like looking back, I'm just like, it's not over. Like, it's just, I don't know. The little things like that I will remember, but I don't know. I'm really glad our group is just so tight knit like that.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it is like you said, it's not over. Like being able to move on from things and then like just finding the next thing, it's like whether it's moving from high school to Ohio State and like now look at what you've built there. And like for me, like quitting and then going on to my job and like looking what like I'm enjoying the hell out of that. Like it's just like being able to pivot and like on a dime, just like find the next thing that you love doing is like so cool.
And you kind of hit it there too. It's like, obviously, like when you leave high school and go to college, and then you leave college and go to the real world, like you're still gonna have your high school friends. Like, and same for you, like you quit the team, but you still hang out with the Lax girls like every single day.
Yeah.
And I always have my high school friends and my college friends, and at some point they'll come together. But like, I think like sometimes people like go to college and don't want to associate with their high school friends, and I'm like, why do that? Like these guys have like been your ride or dies for 18 years. Like, don't let that go. Like these guys know who you really are.
Yeah. And like coming home to that is like so special. Like it never gets old. Like my latest vlogs are like me and just 5 of my best friends in the world like from home, just like on the vineyard kicking it. Like it's such a special thing to come home to.
I know. And the best part is like getting, like, I remember like after quarantine, like I got home, like my buddy Moltzy and Dom Cole were waiting in my driveway to say what's up and everything. And we were just all in my basement chilling. And you can kind of tell like when someone tries to act cool and everything, and you're like, dude, don't say that. Like, I know you, you're not like that.
Yeah.
It's all good fun, but I don't know. I miss my guys now that we're talking about it.
Yeah, for sure. So pivoting off of that, what do you think is next for Mitchell Pehlke? Like you have the podcast, Pelk Talk, you're killing it there. I think you bring a good energy there. I think you've gotten like some big names, some really interesting interviews. Your YouTube channel's in a good spot. You're killing it there. So is this something where you just ride those two out, or do you have anything else you got special planned? Like how are you kind of looking at the world right now in terms of what content you're putting out?
I I just think right now, just like my big thing is like consistency, because I know for me, like I can go hard in this game for a month or two and then it starts to die out. So one thing I kind of set for myself is like, I started kind of picking back up mid-June, mid-July, and I'm just like, all right, like we're gonna finish out this year by busting out like a video and a podcast each week, and I want to stay consistent because in the game, like I remember watching Casey Neistat video, like consistency is the key
Yeah.
to being successful on YouTube, and it really is. Like if I could pump out more content, I would, but like with my videos getting checked by compliance, playing a Division I sport, and being at like a top 30 public university in the country, like it won't happen, and sometimes it bugs me. But at the same time, like I love playing lacrosse and
Yeah.
I'll never quit this sport. So
Yeah.
content wise though, I don't know. I just like thinking of new ideas. Like me and my mom always talk about different ideas, what we can put on social and everything. But I don't know. I just think kind of keeping it going and just keeping the consistency of what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will tell you, if you are ever able to do like what I did with KT Verse, but with like Ohio State athletes, like,
Yeah.
dude, it's just people
I know,
love
I thought about that.
like it's so fun and like it's such a cool experience to do as like a lacrosse player to like get a stick in the hands of like these elite athletes in other sports and like they don't even know how to cradle. Like it's such a crazy like experience as a lacrosse player to have that. And it's just so fun. Like and Ohio State's a perfect school for that.
Yeah, I know. It's such a big school. And I've definitely thought about that, but at the same time, I'm just like, honestly, just like, don't want to get out of my comfort zone. But at the same time, like, I know after I do something like that, I'm going to be like, I'm so thankful I just did that.
Yeah. Oh my God, dude. It was like my video per week. I wasn't even vlogging at that point because it was just so fun. Like we would
Yeah.
just link up, like you have one of your buddies film it, like so it's like really funny and like natural. And it's
Yeah.
so out of the comfort zone. Like you're just trying a new sport. Like
Yeah.
it really is.
Hey, guy for the first time, you're trying something new for the first time. But I
Yeah.
don't know. Now that you kind of say that, I'm definitely going to start shooting DMs.
Yeah. Oh my God, absolutely. Just slide in the DMs. All these people, they'd love to do it. Like,
Yeah.
Mitch, and then you have all these friends, and then it's like great because you have all these homies on all these other teams. Like that's how I'm like friends with Jonah. Like,
Yeah. Just more connections.
yeah, exactly. All right. So if you could give one piece of advice to a younger Mitchell Pehlke, so a young Mitch, maybe, yeah, young Mitch, maybe, let's say the day you met me, what would you go back in time right now and tell that version of Mitchell Pehlke?
About like
Just any
Wax, YouTube.
cross YouTube, whatever, family, relationships, whatever it is. You were a junior in high school.
Yeah.
You were about to be a junior, or you
Yeah.
were.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're about to be a junior.
Was I? I
No.
was about to be a senior.
Yeah, you're about to be a senior. That's right.
Senior, yeah.
Yep.
What can I go back? I'd say I'd say I'd just say cherish the family time, man. That's really the most important thing that I miss, like coming to school my freshman year. I remember that so much. Just like every night, like my mom making dinner at 6:30 with me and my brother, just sitting around, like having a good time for about an hour every night. Like I
Yeah.
took like so advantage of that. Like sometimes I'd be like, oh, I can't eat tonight. Like I got to edit. But just like looking back now, whenever I go home, I just like love getting down with my mom and brother and just having like a genuinely good, funny, busting balls conversation like us Italians do.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that's what I would say is cherish the family time, like really cherish like your mom, your brother, and when you get to see your dad, because like when I got to college, man, I missed that so much.
Yeah.
And it was hard, but I'm kind of glad it happened because now I do like after dinner, I'm like, Ma, like let me do the dishes, like you cook, I'll clean, like blah blah blah. Like I just want to spend more time with you. Like I don't know. I just like I miss that so much.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great piece of advice. I think that
What
was
would yours be if you could look back to when you met me for the first time? You were what, rising sophomore?
as a rising sophomore.
What would
I
you
would
say?
say, oh my gosh. Uh, you know what? I would say like make the jump, like make the big decision, like have the confidence. Like I think I knew for a while that I was going to get to a point where I would want to move on from lacrosse to like chase video.
Yeah,
And I think I just always denied that in the back of my head just because, like it was the easy decision to just stay, like stick it out.
yeah.
And so if I'd maybe taken that jump, like I would just say, yeah, the confidence piece, like just like be confident in the decisions you're making, like in the moves you're making.
So you were a sophomore then. How far back did you kind of have that thought in your mind that you kind of wanted to quit?
I would say oof, probably April of my sophomore year. So I quit in January of my junior year. I would say April of my sophomore year, it started to come across my brain because I was thinking like, I can't make any money, the NCAA, and I just want to be able to like film other things. Like I want to get out there and like there was this one opportunity that I had to turn down, which was to make behind the scenes content for the production company that films DaBaby's music videos. When they shot the music video for Bop, like the famous one where they're like,
With a mask?
I was gonna be
That's
there,
so
dude.
sick.
I was gonna be there and do behind the scenes content for the production company and like be on the set.
Yeah.
And I couldn't because of lacrosse. Like, so that's the
That's
stuff I'm talking about where like I had to turn a lot of stuff down. And it got to a point finally where I was just like, I need to make this decision. I need to be confident and like move. But yeah, is that crazy? Like, imagine that. It
and
was
I
crazy.
still remember seeing that. I can picture it in my head. That music video was sick. You
Yeah.
caught
And I
like,
remember I was literally in the DMs. I was like, I can't. I have lacrosse. I'm sorry.
I mean, it does come with it though. Like if you play divisional sport, like you're not like a regular athlete. Like
For
you're
sure.
not a regular student. Like you don't get as
Yeah.
much free time.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's just like that's life though. You got to make those decisions. Like you got to be confident and like make a move and be like, I see where you are putting your energy and like see where you find value. And that's what I did. Like
Like that.
that's the
I,
probably
I cherish you for that. That takes a that's a big jump, like you said, and I think like you put your big girl pants on. You made that decision, and I
yeah
like how now, like you said on my podcast, that like I didn't just want to quit and just like be a regular student. Like I wanted to quit and then I'm gonna ride this film thing out. And I got these internships and I'm going. Like you say, you're going to Orange County like a couple days a week to film for like 4 hours and driving back. I mean, that's like 2 hours out of your day just driving.
yeah exactly
And I think that's cool from like my side to be like, okay, well, yeah, she quit, but she's still killing it on the video side.
yeah
And I think that's still cool to hear. So, I mean, there's a
yeah,
lot of people out there that look up to you. Don't ever not think that.
yeah absolutely. Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is crazy. Like it's just and it was like it's you lose that structure, and like it's on you to kind of discipline yourself and be like take this job or like reach out to this person because like you could just sit around all day. Like you don't have the structure of like you know what I mean. And so it really goes back to like what you said of like personal discipline. Like when you quit a sports team at the Division 1 level, you have all this time in the world to like make the right decisions. And like I feel like that's what I'm always trying to do because like I don't ever want to be bored. I'm just like you. Like I like to be out there. Like I like it drives me nuts not having anything to do. Like
Like that's one thing I'm always thankful. Like God kind of put in me. Like I'm so ADD. Like go 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 go
yeah,
go.
yes,
But like they're gonna be like, my boys are always like, you can chill on the couch. I'm like, I can't, because if I'm not like working out, practicing, doing homework or editing, like I get depressed. Like I just want to keep working, and it's
yeah,
not like a
exactly. I
workaholic
literally,
kind of.
dude, I like always have to be working on
I
something.
know, it's like it sounds like such like a kind of like a d-bag like hard of
Yeah,
comment. You're like, oh, I never stop working. Oh, but it's true. Like if I sit on the couch like all day and watch TV and like scroll through Instagram, like I will feel so bad about myself.
yeah, exactly.
I think at the same time, it's like good to realize like when you need to take breaks. Like even if it's just like going to get lunch or sitting down and watching like a YouTube video, like I think it's really good that people to realize that,
Yeah,
because you
absolutely.
get burned out like a dog in this game.
Oh my God, yeah, it's happened to me a couple times. You start to do that sprint, like that daily vlog sprint, and you just get burnt out.
I mean, I still like you talked about earlier, like doing that 30-day challenge in junior and senior year of my high school career, like that was so stressful. I
Yeah.
remember, like, I'm glad I did it now, but like there is not a shot I could do it here with just with everything
No
going.
way. I tried it. I was playing
Yeah,
lacrosse
I
in
remember,
USC and I
yeah.
was doing it, dude. It was crazy.
I think back, I'm like, how did I do it? It's because like we talked about on mine, it's like it's vlogging. People think it's so easy, but it's not. Like
No.
you need the people around you to kind of bring something to the
Yeah.
channel as well. Like, it can't just all be you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, dude. It was the 30-day for those listening, if you want to go watch Mitchell or I remember there was a conversation we had in like November of my oh gosh, sophomore year. And I FaceTimed you. I remember it was like a little rainy. I don't know why I remember this day. And I was like, yo, like, are we doing this? And you were like, I'm in. And I was
Yeah.
like, all right, like, let's go. Like, let's do the dash. Like, and we both
I
just
remember I did it junior year, and then I posted something on like my story, and like I think I'm bringing it back for senior year. And then you're like, oh my god, like should I
yeah,
do it? And we hopped on the phone and we talked about it. But I don't know. Like we said, that got me out of my comfort zone. Like even like Sundays and Saturdays, like when I just want to sit down and like watch the NFL or watch
yeah.
something, like I had to get up and make a video.
Yeah, absolutely. It's crazy. But yeah, it pushes your creativity, it pushes your boundaries. And like that's what I think you're doing with the podcast. And like I'm loving it. Like I always tell you this, but like I'm super proud of you. Like you're killing it.
Thank you.
And
Uh,
I really do mean that from the bottom of my heart. Like
Thank
you're
you.
an inspiration to many. It's not easy what you're doing. I did it. It's not easy at all. I tell you that. Like keep it up. The videos, the podcast, like it's incredible to see. And I really am proud to watch your growth on this.
Thank you. I mean, you've been here from the start, and this isn't going anywhere. We'll be friends for life.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait till our next club be Christmas party.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
that.
Mitchell, thank you so much for coming on today. And
Absolutely.
where can the fans find you, as they say on Pelk Talk?
You just follow your boy on Instagram, at Mitchell Pehlke on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Pelk Talk for my podcast. Help your boy out a little bit, but stay subscribed to Katie. I can tell you right now, she's got stuff cooking up, dog. She's a junkyard dog.
Junkyard Dog.
But yeah, no, thanks again, Katie. I mean, it's always good just to have a sit down conversation with you.
Yeah,
Appreciate that.
absolutely. Thank you, Mitchell. I appreciate it.